Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video today. In this video, I'm going to talk about the most common question asked in the interview, which is unable to RDP to Azure Virtual Machine, and how do you fix it? Well, before we answer this question to anybody, let us try to understand different layers of your virtual machine and in which layer the problem could occur and what are the tools we have to fix those problems. Then we can summarize everything into one statement and conclude the solution. And there is no definite statement for this problem, but we'll try to answer. Okay. If you look at this, your virtual machine is running on Microsoft Data Center, which is managed by Microsoft. So basically, your virtual machine is going to be running on a Microsoft Fabric, which is a data center. And this virtual machine also have other components, which is the OS disk, data disk. OS disk has application installed, and other disk might have some other information as well. Adding to this VM is being controlled by a network component. It could be your network security group. It could be your network firewall appliances. Sometimes the issue could be at the OS level as well. So let us try to define those layers. So one is Microsoft data center, and the other one is Azure VM or a platform layer, and the other one is at uh, operating system level. Okay, if I say Microsoft data center and why your virtual machine is down because of a Microsoft platform, because there could be reason the physical host where your virtual machine is running, if it is exhausted with the resources and it doesn't have enough CPU or memory to run your virtual machine, and it might be dead. In such scenarios, your virtual machine has to move from one node to another node in the backend with the process of self-healing at Microsoft, which is basically handled by Fabric. You don't have to take any action there. So during that situation, right, so your virtual machine may not be online. Maybe your virtual machine might be restarted for some time. Um, so it could be couple of seconds, it could be a minute, sometimes it could be more than that as well. So which basically we call this kind of issues, or we categorize this kind of issues into a unplanned downtime situations. Downtime, which means you have not expected this downtime situations, and the virtual machine is unexpectedly rebooted, or maybe it is disconnected from the network because the underlying physical server is down, and Microsoft is trying to push your VM to another node or another healthy node in the backend. So during such situations, your VM won't be available, and your application won't be connecting, and everybody will start complaining that there is a issue at your virtual machine, right? So how do you know, or how do you fix these problems, or how do you come to know there is a problem at Microsoft Data Center and your issue is related to that, right? So on Azure VM, there is a service called Resource Health. So in the resource health, if you go to the resource health, it will clearly tell you the current state of your VM, whether VM is in a healthy status, or if it is having any service degradation issues, maybe it's a unhealthy, it's unhealthy, or maybe there is no status at all, no status. So if I take you to the Azure portal, and if you look at this virtual machine resource health status, you can see right now it is available and it's healthy. The health history will show you what has happened in the past. If I expand this, there is some issue and you see some information. There's an information symbol and sometimes it shows a warning. Sometimes if it is a outage at Microsoft that I was talking about it, it shows a error message or this the color the this one will change it. And here you can see it's a customer initiated, like somebody rebooted the server or powered off the server, right? So it is something like customer initiated. This issue or this category not falls under the Microsoft category. And sometimes you will see platform initiated. That is where you see the issue is belongs to Microsoft data center. Azure Fabric is trying to restart your virtual machine so that it can move to another healthy node. That is what it means when we see that platform initiated. If you see user initiated, it is not related to the Microsoft, Fabric issues. So this is one issue, and sometimes it's not an issue at a host. If it is an issue at a Microsoft host or a Fabric, then definitely from Azure portal you will be able to see it, and you will be able to conclude that there is a problem at Microsoft Fabric side. Sometimes what happens is the VM also I mean the server the fabric is I mean the VM is running a physical server and which also have a connectivity to the network components in the backend. So there could be a switch, there could be a router, there could be a storage medium. If any one of other components are down, and your physical server will be down, and because of that the virtual machine also will be down. If it is an issue with the storage and the physical server is down and your virtual machine is down, you can still see the information from the service, I mean resource health on Azure VM Blade. But in case if the issue is belongs to your backend network stack or network updates, you cannot see anything from here. You have to go back to Microsoft and a support ticket and they'll be able to validate or they'll be able to check the issue further. These all issues we categorize them into the Microsoft outages or issues caused due to Microsoft. And these all can be seen from this Azure portal, except the issue due to the network at Microsoft data center. Okay. And if there is a issue at Azure platform, when I say Azure platform, which you have control over it, this layer, right? So which means you control the traffic through NSGs, network security groups, or you control the traffic through a firewall devices, right? Inbound, outbound traffic, right? So you have more control here. So in case if somebody stop the virtual machine, or in case somebody restart the virtual machine, or in case somebody redeploy the virtual machine, right? Or if they perform any operations that is being done by you and your team members, then this is in your control. Okay, and these issues can be easily isolated, or you can easily identify by just going to the Azure portal. If it is issue with the NSG, we mostly use the network watcher. You just need to search for the network watcher service, and the network watcher will have a feature called IP verify flow. Um, so with this feature, you can specify the source and destination and what's the source port and destination port. So these details you can specify and try to check the connectivity. In case if the connectivity is blocked at the NSG level, network security group level, you'll be able to see which which NSG is blocking the communication and which rule is blocking the communication. Then you can take an action and to fix the problems. If I go to network watcher, and there is a IP flow verify option. Here you have to select the virtual machine and the network interface card and specify the local port and remote port and IP address. Then click on verify IP flow. You'll be able to see the rules which are blocking or which are allowing. In case if it is an issue with the firewall, and the firewall, there are two things. If your company is using the Azure native firewall, which is the Azure firewall as a service, then you might have an option or opportunity to validate the rules. But in case if your company is maintaining the firewalls through a third party applications, which is like Palo Alto or Barracuda, any other firewall devices, then definitely it has to go to your network team and they'll be able to validate from the network side. So this is at Azure platform layer. And there's one more thing is at OS level. So OS level, basically, after the patching, after the patching of the servers, the VM may not come online. The VM might be stuck at a blank screen. The VM stuck at a continuous boots. It's like it goes into boot loop, reboot loop. So in such scenarios, the issues could be at a OS level. Then what we generally do is we try to uh, fix the problem, why it is going into the reboot loop. Okay, and we'll try to fix it. If we are not able to fix it, then we will try to go for last known good configurations and try to get the server online. And how do you get to the situation, how do you conclude that there is an issue with the reboot loop, there's a blank screen because you're not able to take RDP to the server or SSH to the server, right? So what we generally do is if we go back to the Azure portal and go to the virtual machine tab and go to the virtual machine here, and you see a boot diagnostics. This basically tell us what is the current state of your virtual machine. So you have to go to settings and enable this, and before that you have to power on your virtual machine. This is in the running status. If you look at this, this VM shows the current screenshot. What is the current status in the backend or at the Azure Fabric side? It's in a control or delete screen, so which means the VM is up and running. So sometimes what happens is that you will see a blank screen or black screen, or you will see boot error screen. Sometimes it will keep on showing like updating the latest updates onto the server. So you will see such kind of things, and this will be an evidence for you to say there is a problem with the operating system. Okay, then what you can also do is you can also use serial console. Serial console basically basically will give you an option to log into the VM through command prompt. And once you get into command prompt mode, you can perform various operations like, launch the PowerShell window, PowerShell commands, and try to get the services status, restart the specific services, modify the registry values. Those things you can do it. So that's a good thing with the serial console. And there is an option called redeploy and reapply. Those can be taken care, those actions can be taken in case if you think there's a problem with the Azure Fabric side. So you can go with the reapply. In case if the VM provisioning status is not good, then go for reapply. In case if you think that underlying host where your virtual machine is running is not in a good state, then go for redeploy operation. So redeploy require a reboot of your server. Reapply doesn't require. It just try to fix the VM provisioning status. Okay, and let us say you identified that there's a problem with your VM at a OS level, and you want to fix it further. So as you see, it's not like in VMware, you have a console, or in Hyper-V, you have a console. You just connect to the console and try to boot the VM through an image and perform the steps. You don't have such options. You don't have such direct options here. So what we generally do is So what we do is we let us say this is your virtual machine which has a problem. Okay, so what we do is we take this snapshot of this OS disk. OS disk has a problem. Okay, which is basically problem could be it is running in a reboot loop, or maybe stuck at a boot screen. There could be various other reasons, right? What we do is take a snapshot of OS disk and create a new disk from the snapshot. Okay, then once you get a new disk, this new disk we need to attach to a rescue VM. Okay, a rescue VM, which means this is like another VM which has like at least Windows Server 2016 operating system. Okay, and on this server you can enable Hyper-V role. Once you enable Hyper-V role, what you can do is you can attach this newly created disk to this VM as a data disk, and later use this disk to boot from this Hyper-V console. It is called nested virtualization. Your VM already on a virtualization platform which is managed by Microsoft. On top of that, you are enabling Hyper-V to create a virtual machine from the disk that you are attaching of your problematic VM, right? So that is called nested virtualization. So on Hyper-V, you'll have a console and you can try to fix the problematic VM operating system through a latest image, or maybe you can go back to the last and good configuration. Sometimes you can modify the boot configuration, and this is basically handled by your core operating system team. You may not have skills or expertise on it, but your role will be taking a snapshot of the disk, attaching this to a data disk, and sometimes if this rescue VM is not available, you are going to create it. And in case if you have some experience in OS operating system side, you try to help your operating system team further, like attaching this disk and creating a new VM from the Hyper-V machine, and work with them or collaborate with them to fix this boot issues. Once the boot issue is fixed at a Hyper-V level, then you can detach this disk and just go back to this VM and just swap the existing disk with the newly this problem resolved OS disk. So that's how you fix the problem. And there's a bunch of documentation which is going to talk about this. If you go to Microsoft documentation, just search for unable to RDP to the VM. You have good articles which talks about all these use cases, all these scenarios which I just explained to you. Okay, and what could be the problem? How do you fix it? And what will you do if the VM is stuck at a boot stage? Everything you can just see from here itself. Okay, and this is all about the different layers where you see there's a problem with your virtual machine, and what is your scope. If the issue at a Microsoft data center, you are going to coordinate with Microsoft. And if it is issue at your Azure platform, you are going to fix it. In case if you identify the issue related to the Azure firewall, you are going to collaborate with your firewall team and try to fix it. In case if the issue is at a OS level, you are going to collaborate with your OS team and try to fix it. So what you are going to perform, you are going to identify where exactly the problem is. To identify, you need to know where to find the information. If the VM is not able to RDP, go to the VM health status, resource health, and check if the VM is healthy or not. If it is healthy and still not able to RDP, go to the boot diagnostics of your VM, check the current state of your VM. If it is in a control alt delete screen and you're still not able to RDP, then try to get into the serial console to see if you are able to connect. If you are able to connect to serial console, which means your operating system is fine, your backend fabric is fine, then there could be issue with the network connectivity from the user's laptop to your virtual machine. Then you need to start looking at the further, like, from which network the user is trying to access. So did we allow that port or IP address in the network security groups, or maybe from the firewall level? So you need to isolate that problem with the network watcher. Okay, so once you identify them, then you will work with the respective team to fix it. Or if you think the VM is stuck at a boot screen, then you will try to redeploy, reboot the server. If it is still not working, then go with this collaboration with the operating system team, creating a rescue VM and attaching a disk, and performing the troubleshooting. In case if nothing is working and you don't have time, then you might have already configured backup for the VM. Just go back to the previous day backup and try to restore it and give the server to your application team. So this is what we follow when somebody complain that they are not able to RDP. This is what we follow and we'll try to fix it. This is at a high level, but again, it's all depends on the application to application, server to server. So based on the use cases, we will try to dig deep into it and try to troubleshoot the problem. I hope this video helps you to give you some overview for troubleshooting the Azure VM. In case if you have any further questions or clarifications, please do comment or reach out to me on LinkedIn or WhatsApp. I'm happy to guide you, or I'm happy to have a one-to-one call with you to clarify your doubts. Thanks everybody for watching this video. See you in the next video. Bye for now.